Warm welcome to viewers in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, and from around the world. This is Sudan warring sides sign deal to protect civilians. Former Pakistan Prime Minister IMRAN Khan appears in court for bail hearing. On World View today, Ukraine says it has recaptured ground in Bakhmut, a rare advance after months of grinding Russian gains in the eastern city. Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar widely there is no clear evidence of the much anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive. Russia has denied reports of Ukrainian gains after claims from both sides. And Russia's defense ministry said the individual declarations on Telegram. UK has confirmed it is supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles it requested for its fight against invading Russian forces. According to reports, the Storm Shadow cruise missile has a range of over 250 kilometers, according to the manufacturer. By contrast, the US supplied HIMARS missiles used by Ukraine only have a range of around 80 kilometers, that is 50 aircraft, so the longer range means Ukrainian pilots will be able to stay further from the front lines.
Russia must recognize the UK has long-range systems already gifted, including HIMARS and Harpoon missiles, as well as Ukraine's own Neptune cruise missile and longer-range missions elsewhere gifted. The donation of these weapon systems gives Ukraine the best chance to defend themselves against Russia's continued brutality. The use of Storm Shadow will allow Ukraine to push back Russian forces based within Ukrainian sovereign territory. Russia must recognize that their actions alone have led to such systems being provided to Ukraine. It is my judgment as a Defense Secretary that this is a calibrated and proportionate.
Well, the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Ruben Brigetti, claimed that a Russian ship was loaded with ammunition and arms in Cape Town last December. Brigetti said this at a media briefing in Pretoria, that Washington had concerns about the country's stated non-aligned stance on the conflict. And while President Cyril Ramaphosa's office said it was disappointed by the claims and said no evidence has been provided to support them. Reports further say the country has maintained claim establishment of an independent inquiry led by a retired judge. Meanwhile, South Africa has slammed remarks by the U.S. ambassador in Pretoria, who accused the country of having covertly provided arms to Russia despite its professed neutrality in the Ukraine war. The U.S. envoy to South Africa accused the country of having covertly provided arms to Russia, a charge that drew an angry rebuke from Pretoria. But President Cyril Ramaphosa's office hit back, saying it was disappointing that Brigetti had adopted a counterproductive public posture. Ramaphosa's spokesman Vincent Magwenya said in a statement that the remark
not aligned. Amongst the things that we noted were the docking of the Russian cargo ship Lady R in Simonstown's ammunition onto that vessel in Simonstown.
Now, after nearly a week of talks, Sudan's warring parties have signed a deal to alleviate the suffering of the civilian population, but people living battle zones, protect relief workers, and not to use civilians as human shields. However, they did not agree to pause the fighting. There are reports of more airstrikes and shelling in the capital Khartoum today. And there was momentum now for the safe delivery of relief supplies, as both sides committed to let in badly needed humanitarian assistance after looting and attacks that targeted aid. Away from that, Pakistan's ex-Prime Minister IMRAN Khan is to be freed from custody. a day after the Supreme Court ruled his dramatic arrest on corruption charges was illegal. The judges granted Khan protected bail, meaning he cannot be rearrested on those charges for 2 weeks. The court also ordered he can still stand. The 70-year-old, who was arrested on Tuesday as he arrived at a courthouse in Islamabad, pleaded not guilty to the charges when a judge formally indicted him with corruption for the first time in the dozens of cases he faces. Officials say Khan unlawfully sold state gifts during his premiership in a case brought by Pakistan's Election Commission. He remained at court after the hearing today, seeking preventive bail by the former international cricket star and Pakistan's Prime Minister from 2018 to 2022 from standing for office, possibly for life. Elections are due later this year, when Khan had arrived at the hearing under heavy armed guard and greeted supporters with a single raised fist. Speaking during today's hearing, Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandial said the arrest was unlawful because it took place on court premises. After the break, we'll look at reports on Portugal's imminent ban on smoking near schools and hospitals. Do stay with us for details on this and more right after the break.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the beneficiaries of the death of our brother.
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now, Pope Francis has called for politicians to find solutions to reverse Italy's declining birth rate, warning that young people faced a titanic effort to start families in a precarious environment. The 86-year-old pontiff opened the second day of a Rome conference involving politicians' impoverishment of the nation. According to ISTAT, the National Statistics Institute, for the first time last year, Italy's births fell below the threshold of 400,000 at 393,000. That compared to 700,000 as he appeared on stage to address the conference alongside Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, said that young people today live in a social climate in which starting a family is turning into a titanic effort. Away from that, Portugal is planning measures to ban smoking near schools and hospitals, as well as in covered outdoor seating areas. The country's health minister said the law, which will be discussed in Parliament at an unspecified date, would also forbid the practice in all indoor spaces such as smoking areas inside cafes. Recall that smoking was first banned in public indoor spaces, as is the case with traditional smoking items. In a separate development, the United Nations World Food Programme WFP is appealing for urgent funds to provide rapid food assistance to more than 2 million people in Chad. WFP Country Director in Chad, Pierre Honorat, said he expected to provide for 30,000 refugees who had crossed to Chad to flee the recent fighting in Sudan. The WFP warned that food for refugees and internally displaced people in Chad would come to a halt this month due to financial difficulties. In a separate warning, the WFP said hunger is set to hit a record high in Sudan, with an additional 2.5 million people affected by the onslaught to Jerusalem for the first time in 4 days of fighting between Israel and militants in Gaza. According to reports, a rocket from Gaza landed near the Jewish settlement of Bat Ayin in the occupied West Bank, about 10 miles south. It comes as Egypt mediates for a ceasefire between the two sides. The Health Ministry in Gaza says 31 people, about half of them civilians, have been killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza since Israel carried out a surprise attack, killing 3 Palestinian Islamic Jihad militants. Now, the campaign leading up to Turkey's elections this weekend has been marred by outbreaks of violence across the country. Incidents of stone throwing, physical attacks on election workers, and gunmen shooting up party offices have all been recorded in recent weeks as Turkey heads towards knife-edge polls in which President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is seeking. Devlet Bahçeli, head of the nationalist movement party MHP that backs the government, denounced the opposition as traitors and who will get either aggravated life sentences or bullets in their bodies. In Turkey's highly polarized political landscape, however, claims and counterclaims blur the facts surrounding incident. His campaign bus was attacked by opposition supporters on Monday night. With that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure reaching you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. And you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.